All right. Good morning, Kiddo Prosperity. It is Matt and Mary Beth with you here today. It is Tuesday, May 26th. We're back after the nice long weekend. How was your weekend, Mary Beth?
It was good. It was relaxing and busy all in one. It was no work, which
Yep.
was all family focus. And
Yep.
yet, when you put your focus on business for most of your week, then your weekend can get really full with your family.
Absolutely. It was nice. I did a little barbecue with family, social distance, of course. We were outside and
Yep.
everything, but it was a lot of fun. And, it was nice. Honestly, I did not open my computer the entire weekend. So it was actually a really nice change of pace. This morning, I actually woke up and I was, a little bit more like ready to get back on the calls. I felt like a zombie towards the end of last week. So it was nice to have a little bit of a respite.
Yeah, it was. It was definitely a nice little break. But once we you know, our 8:30 calls are very purposeful to
Yeah.
just kick us back into work mode, right?
Absolutely. It was a nice shift back into the week. And
Well,
we're
and
already
I would just
May.
encourage people to
Yeah.
have something like that. If we are that for you, then that's great. Because every day at 11 o'clock, you could be reminded that business is still going on, and
Yep.
there's activities to be taken to ensure that business will go on. And so if we're that plug-in for you, that's awesome. If
Yep.
you need, for us, we have an 8:30, pretty much an 8:30 stand-up huddle.
Yep.
Some of us may have to do this on our own, so it may just be, hey, you have a 7 o'clock appointment in the morning with
Yep.
yourself on your chair with your coffee, like,
Yep.
so whatever works. But having a schedule and a routine in life always keeps you more focused on what you should be doing, right? Otherwise, you're running somebody else's plan.
Absolutely. And I think we've been doing so many interviews over the last really 2 months. I mean, you've had some great calls with Mark King, with Noah
Yeah,
Anderson, with just Vanessa Pollock. I could go through Todd Foster, Chad Himes. I could go through the list on and on. And the
yeah,
one thing that's always been a consistent thread in almost every single one of those calls is they have a routine and they have something that's anchoring them to
yeah.
the daily schedule. Exactly.
That's right. So then anchor to the daily schedule is dead on, dead on. And today, just to thank you for that.
Yep.
Today we're going to be talking with Brad Korn, and a lot of us may not know who Brad Korn is because he's been with KW since '91,
Yep.
and he's been a long time mega agent. He's been through some seasons in life,
Yep.
and he's a KWU master faculty presenter.
Yep.
And I'm really grateful to be able to spend a little bit of time with an old friend. So
Absolutely. That's today at 12. And then tomorrow at 12, you had interviewed Martin and Maya last week, Martin Weldon. And
yes,
we're doing a class on really, creating a good growth plan for success for agents. That's tomorrow between 12 and 2.
yes, absolutely. So that's going to be well worth your time to get plugged into. Let's make sure that we're getting that out there to everybody. We'll connect on this afternoon to make sure that anybody and everybody, doesn't matter what company, what brand, he is an amazing coach, and he'll be talking a lot about how to create those buyer pipeline and make sure that you are still adding value into your database. So it's going to be a great workshop.
Absolutely. And we're talking now about adding people to your database, which is a nice segue into the MREA material that we're touching on today. So right now I'm looking at page 217. We've officially moved into the net a million phase. So when we were looking at that pyramid, we were looking at that think a million, which was the base of the pyramid. So really, you really need to believe that you can do it and really nourish your mind, overcome all the misunderstandings um, to then transition into earn a million, which is what we were just doing with the different models, the economic model, the budget model, the lead generation model, and the organizational model. So we really dove deep into those.
We did.
But now what we're doing is we're moving into the net a million phase, which really, as Gary says in the book, it's really a fluid transition from earn a million to net a million. And really what we're going to be covering over the next couple days is the 16 issues or 16 challenges that you're most likely to face as you build on the models that we talked about, and then transitioning into the net a million phase. And with that, I just want to start with the quote that's at the top of page 217. So I think anytime we have a quote to start with, I always like doing that.
Yep.
And it's a quote by Thomas Fuller. It says, "All things are difficult before they're easy." Um, so, you know, uh, and it's just that never give up mentality. I always think of that image where there's two people that are digging and digging and digging, and one person gives up, but the other person, it's like a hairline crack left to get through. That person's still going and busts through. So
Yeah.
you never know when you're going to be close to that end, so to speak, or achieving. So you just have to keep fighting and keep going. And that's really what we're going to talk about today in the net a million trajectory.
But yeah, and then of course, like once you when you actually do break through that wall, crack, hairline, whatever,
Yep.
it feels like you go, well, that wasn't. It's almost like in that second you go, well, that wasn't that hard. So now what's next?
Yeah.
And I've been at that time so many times in my life where you're like, that was it. Oh, okay, we got to keep going.
Yeah.
So it seems hard at first when you put it out there, but then if you create a schedule, habits, stick to the plan, you'll see yourself progressively get towards goal. And then when you're in achievement, it should feel easy at that point. And
Yeah.
when it does start to feel easy and you start to get comfortable, that's when you know you need to be like reaching for the next
Yep.
level. And you made a comment about the triangle, right? So on page 217, we've seen this triangle throughout the entire book, right? It starts at the base. A very, very, very foundational piece is how we think.
Yep.
And then if we can think, we can earn. So then we're earning, and then netting has to do with our budget management and watching our money, being accountable with our money. And then receiving is in the leverage.
Yep.
But I also want to point out there is a wealth building course going on right now with Ben Kinney,
Yep.
the Win, Make, Give.
Yep.
And with that Win, Make, Give, he also talks about a triangle. And he talks about an income triangle. So I will just leave it there, and I will encourage you to get onto that Win, Make, Give podcast, and as well as check out the Win, Make, Give Facebook community right here on Facebook. So
Yeah, no, absolutely. And all these things that we're really delivering, between the Win, Make, Give, between the interviews you've been doing, the calls that we're doing, it's all about getting clarity. And it's all about getting clarity on what steps you need to take and action items you need to take to be successful. And I think Gary really highlights that on page 218 when he says, "When I get clear, I lose my fear." And so I think, when you're moving from stage to stage, or especially when we started, it's that fear of getting going. But once you have clarity on what you need to do within each model and within each, leads, listings, and leverage, when you get clear, you lose the fear.
yeah, so think about this. You're driving somewhere. You're going to drive for like a 6-hour drive to get to a destination that maybe you've never been before. And there's a couple different possible ways you can go. I look at West Virginia. West Virginia, I used to go to college there. So I went to West Virginia University. It took about 6 hours to drive out there. But there was like 2 or 3 different ways that you could actually get going on the road. And would you go through these mountains or these mountains? And so, when you're first, you don't have your map. You don't know, you're not sure which way to go. Is this the way? Is that the way? That looks like multiple paths lead to one. Then once you start going and now you got your map, back in the day, I used to have my Hagstrom map, which was like the actual map, Matt. And then the GPS came out, so we were able to plug the GPS. This is where I needed to go. And even with that, it would show me multiple routes. Well, we can go this way, we can go that way. But honestly, I think anybody can relate to being in a car, having a destination, and having the clarity on how to get there. Now you can enjoy the ride, right?
Hands down. Well, exactly. And so right now in the next couple of days, we're going to be looking at getting clarity on how to get to net a million. And we're going to specifically look at leads, listings, leverage, and then the last 2 are money, and then you. And that'll all make sense once we get through this.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you show up in all of this. So if you are not wired properly, or if you're, when you get that money, when you have those people, when you take those listings,
Yep.
if you show up in it and you haven't changed through this process,
Yep.
we won't have the right ingredients, let's just say.
Exactly. So today we're going to start on the challenges you'll face in the lead section, and there's 4 of them. So we'll start with the first one, which is sustaining a solid lead generation program that emphasizes marketing and consistently increases the number of leads. Um, and really where this is going, and we've talked about this a little bit before, is that you have to keep lead generating at all costs. And you can never stop. I like the example that Gary gives at the bottom of page 220. He says, as you may know, in order for most sharks to breathe, they must keep moving, which forces water through their gills. If they stop, they drown. I mean, he writes, similarly, a lead generation program must always be active. When it is idle for any length of time, it tends to lose its strength. And I think right now we're seeing the agents who have been consistently lead generating year after year, day after day, are the ones right now that are doing the best through this shift, through this disruptor, because this is what they know.
That's right.
And it says agents who shift their focus between generating leads and servicing the leads tend to go through that up and down cycle. So if you're going between, okay, I'm attacking, getting leads, then slowing down, servicing the leads, and it's like, oh, now I've got nothing. Now I got to lead generate again. Those are the ones that have the peaks and valleys in their income streams.
And it's a model for any business. If you had a painting business,
yep,
and you were just so caught up on the jobs that you were doing. My husband works inside of a roofing and a construction business.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody wasn't lead generating for next week's business,
yep,
next month's business, the jobs, creating the relationships with the solar companies for the panels so that they have a roofing contract. If somebody wasn't doing that work consistently and always,
yep,
then the longevity of and scalability of the business is just not there.
yep.
You can't be only working in, and it can only be working on. It's both always.
Absolutely, and like it says, there is nothing. Lead generation is most definitely at the top of the food chain. There is nothing that has greater potential to impact your business. So, the key is sustaining them, and then one of the things we talked about is then systematically following up with them. So, when we were talking about the lead generation model in the last chapter or last section, we were talking about the 8x8 campaigns, the 12 direct campaigns, and the 36 touch campaigns. So you always need to be systematically, when you meet people, if they're in your Mets, you're funneling them onto the 8x8 and then pushing them over into the 36 touch. It's really critical that you're committing to doing that, because that's how you really sustain. And as Megan says, it's your future business. It's the business that's, maybe not now, but it's going to be down the road.
That's right. Well, and with the ability to be so visual here today, with social media and text messaging capabilities. I mean, back in the day, your only outlet was a phone call or a direct mailbox. Now you have so many different ways that, Messenger, TikTok is becoming a popular way to communicate, Instagram, so all these different things. And yet I will say this is a time where your current business could be affected by seeing what you're doing or not doing. Because even, you earned the business. Well, if you're just in a listing contract, or you just have a buyer consult done and you're not actually in contract, very easily could that business be taken away in a time like this, because there is so much data information overload to the consumer that they may be lured away from you if you're not adding great value back into them. So I think that it's just an ongoing of showcase who you are and the value of why we would want to work with you, and keep that message being consistent while servicing the clients who raise their hand and say, I trust you, I would like for you to be my realtor.
Well, exactly. And then always mining for those referrals in that group that you have, your kind of VIP list.
Yeah.
You're always reaching out to them and consistently inviting them to things and touching base with them.
Yeah, and just to spin it one other way is,
Mhm.
think about when you're on a diet and you're consistently watching what you're eating, and yet you're seeing the results and you're doing all the right things and you're seeing the results. Well, now you have the results. You just stop, because if you just stop,
Yeah,
the old habits or the old
we're coming back. Yeah.
appearance may come back because you're not working constantly working towards it. So, sometimes I've just felt that in business I've had to relate situations to
Mhm.
worldly things that I go through, not business things, and then go, oh, okay, well, that's like this time, and this is how I handled this, and so, lots of thinking in business.
Well, it is, and you can relate it to anything. I mean, how you achieve something, whether it's weight loss, whether it's whatever it might be in your life, even just achieving anything. You have
Anything.
anything. Um, what did you do in order to make that happen? And
Yeah.
that usually it ties usually back to, okay, what activities were you doing to make that happen? And then as number two here on page 222, the second challenge that it's going to go from earn a million to net a million is tracking and converting leads through others. Um, so when I was
Because you're
reading,
probably not good at it. If you are somebody who is building $1 million business,
yep,
a millionaire real estate agent business, net 1 million, you
yep,
are probably not that great at tracking and convert. You're probably not that great at it. And
yep.
it's okay. You need to be out there lead generating, and somebody else could be tracking that stuff for you.
Well, and Mary Beth, yeah, exactly. And I was just going to say, I think one thing that I was reading this section, and um, to get from earn a million to net a million, you've gone through the organizational model. So you're not going to be, not saying that you're not going to be a single agent, but most likely it's
Right.
going to necessitate that you have the two admins and the buyer's agents in place to achieve that.
Well, and we have seen in some models people loading up on admin.
Yep,
The woman that was on stage with Gary Keller during Family Reunion, she had 6 admin and just herself.
yep,
And I believe she was doing about 160 transactions or so. Like it was over 100 transactions. And I think she may have had some show agent help here and there,
yep.
but her core of her business was admin and customer service through her administrative assistants.
Well, and this is also where you really need to get the buy-in from the people that you're working with. So
Uh-huh.
you need the capacity talent, and you need to make sure what your goals are and making sure that you have the people, in this section when we're talking about tracking and converting appointments, we're looking at, you'll need a lead tracking process in place that is consistently used and accurate. And then it's saying this process must ensure that the lead is captured. So who is it and how do we contact him or her? It's sourced. So where did you get it from? Did you get it from you know, a marketing piece? Did you get it from a mailer? Did you get it from wherever? So you're tracking that. Where did it come from? And then
What's
that it's assigned. So who will follow up on the lead? So if you have one staff member literally outsourcing it to say, okay, buyer agent X, here's the lead. Now, did they convert on that? And then it's stored. So where can we find it? So when we're looking in our database, when we're looking in KW Command, when we're looking at whatever platform you're using, where can we find it? What's it tagged as? And where can you access that information? It's critical that those four things happen, that your staff is in charge of that.
Yes, and it's funny because when I was this book, I have my assistant at the time when I was an agent,
Mm-hmm.
and I have it written out here that Melinda would be doing this.
Yep.
But I want to just encourage you all that if you are a single agent right now, this is a great habit to create inside of your single agent business, is start to track where your business, all these 4 metrics, track them for yourself.
Yep.
So if you're like, I don't have somebody right now, that's fine. This is bringing awareness to what you should be tracking, and track it daily.
Yep.
Track it daily. Just have it as a ticker on your board or something like that.
Yep.
Inside your planner, whatever. If not daily, weekly for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely, and I think one of the things that they write in this book is by being able to track, you're able to hold people accountable, and when the numbers are in the open, it's much harder to hide behind excuses. So and that's one thing that Gary writes there, and he was finding out that some buyers agents lead opportunities through inability, lack of focus, maybe they were cherry picking leads, or it could just be laziness in some cases, but you know, the example that Gary uses in there when there was one agent, I forget if it was in this section or what, where it was like, I can't service all my leads. I've got stacks of notes of papers that I haven't been able to follow up. And Gary's like, well, that's just like lighting a match to those and burning money. You're basically burning money because you're not servicing all of these leads and all these opportunities to convert into business.
That's right.
And I think that's really powerful that people need to realize that.
Yep.
And
And
I
it's
think
not
that's
just the
important.
business that you see on the surface, guys. It's just
Exactly.
it's that one person is a lineage
Yep.
of referrals and lifetime of career of business if done right.
Yep.
So when we take a look and we go, oh, well, oh, whatever, I just lost that one lead. No, you lost the ability to do business with everybody that person knows.
Yep.
And that also brings a big picture for some agents who maybe are just getting started in their business.
Yep.
Every single person that you have the ability to convert to agreeing to be inside your database, to receive information from you monthly, weekly, whatever, is an opportunity to create an amazing business.
Yeah.
It does not come from, oh, I know so many people and I've done X amount of transactions a year.
Yep.
It comes from the first few people that you truly, whether you've been in business for 20 years or 20 days, you
Yep.
go, okay, well, today's the day that I'm going to service my clients a little extra. I'm going to create these systems that these two are talking about behind every buyer and seller lead that come into my world. And
Yep.
I'm going to give them the Neiman Marcus, Nordstrom,
Yep.
whatever experience,
Yeah.
and it's going to feel good and they're going to refer me. And so if you were to take one client who may know 5 great people, that you could literally have 3 great clients in your year and have a 20 unit year.
Yep. Yep. Well, and I think it just also emphasizes you never know who's going to be your next best referral partner. Like you just never know, and because and I can speak like in our world, the profit share system. Sometimes you never know who is going to name you as a sponsor, who you're going to build a good relationship with, and you never know that person may not be the best agent in the world, yet they might focus on their downline and build it out. So you just never know. You can't ever label somebody as a bad lead or a good lead because you never know where it's going to go until it happens.
No, and here's the thing, like you say about the downline, I'm the type of person that I would have found Keller Williams. I would have found Keller Williams because I knew what I was looking for, and
Yep.
Keller Williams had what I was looking for: education,
Yep.
support, and a great compensation plan.
Yep.
And Gina Coppola saw in me an opportunity there to introduce me to the company and didn't let up.
Yep.
And therefore I just chose her. I had no sales. She didn't know what I would become.
Yep.
She may have seen something in me, but at the same time, even if she didn't, she would have done the right thing by making sure I was able to have my appointment with Keller Williams, and then I was able to choose it, and she was able to be my sponsor.
Yep.
Now, she didn't do that. I would have found it on my own, and she would have never had any opportunity. And my fear for some of us agents in the industry is that we let those opportunities slip us by all the time. And we think, well, they probably have somebody. Oh, I don't want to be pushy. Oh, you know what? I have no makeup on today, so I'm not working. I don't want them to. Nope, you cannot be like that. Don't be afraid. Get your butt out there and get that.
Well, and if Gina missed the boat on that one, how many people do you have in your downline now? Like what, 100 people? More than
No, over 400, man.
Yeah, no. So when
But
you look,
no, Gina would have missed out on over 400 people just from my influence that she is also able to impact and receive, like we're talking about here, receive profits because of growing a great team.
Yeah. So the last one that I want to touch on today, because we just have like 4 or 5 minutes left, on page 224 to 225, and we've talked about this, but I think it's a good one to end on, is just protecting your lead generation focus time. So we kind of started the call on this and being able to anchor yourself to your activities. And as Gary writes, ultimately lead generation is the most dollar productive activity you can do for your real estate business. And then the other thing that I had highlighted on page 225, he writes, when people don't truly understand the importance of lead generation, it can masquerade as an optional activity rather than as the core foundational discipline that it is. So I think that, just the emphasis on time blocking in your day.
So I will just say this to you: whether you are at the point of growing this millionaire model system, system, or you're looking at this time with us to be inspired to just build a bigger, stronger, more structured business, I will say, if you just bunker yourself in, pick the half hour. If you're not doing a half hour is going to change your world.
Yep.
If you're doing a couple hours, maybe you say, I'm going to add on one more hour or one more day. But if we would all just take 30 more minutes to focus on our lead generation, whether it's a follow-up, a handwritten note, a messenger, a text, a phone call, a pop-by, if we spent 30 extra minutes a day in the lead generation focus time, our businesses would explode. Eric, I see you just jumped on and you're nodding your head. Do you agree with that statement?
I couldn't say it any better. It is, I'll tell you, my experience is that everyone thinks like I'm this massive lead generator, and the truth couldn't be further from the truth, right? The truth couldn't be further. That couldn't be further from the truth. And the reality is I'm human like everybody else, and I have ebbs and flows, and some days are better than others. Some weeks and months are better than others. And I always find myself when I get into my database, just people that I may know or slightly or what have you, or I follow up on some leads that I haven't touched in a long time, and I find myself like, I realize two things. I'm like, wow, I haven't been doing this regularly, So it's like an aha. And I usually realize that because I get appointments right away.
Yeah.
And it's like, and so lead generation and lead follow-up is key. 70% of the business will come from the lead follow-up, not the first connection. So you have to, when you make that connection, that initial connection, take good notes. Don't get discouraged. People get discouraged when someone says, oh, I'm not selling for a year. Good for you. Great. And then.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're going to be in business in a year, that's awesome. That means you don't have to lead generate for that lead in a year from now. You just have to put them on your follow-up lead generation. And Eric, to that point is, I bet you if everybody didn't even go look for anybody new and just went into the people we already know and spent an extra half hour a day there, just this week alone, we got 4 days in this week, spend 4 days inside of the world, the people that you know, retouch, it was Memorial Day. How was their weekend? Maybe you got some veterans in there. Hopefully they spent some time with their family. We had some social distance barbecuing, right? And if you just spend a half hour extra inside the people you already know, we're not even asking you to go look for new people.
Yeah.
We're promising you that you're going to get energy. You're going to get some sort of business coming from it. And I'll leave you guys with that today.
I was going to say, Eric, so just to close, because I see you're driving, what's one bold aha that you had from Bold? Let's end this call today with just one aha that you had from Bold last week.
Last week, I think, the Bolds in general, for me, my big aha is when I focus my mind, what you expand focuses on, what you focus on expands. And so when I focus on a particular thing, in this case, we're talking about lead generation, it happens. And it's that is an aha. That's the only aha I really need.
Yep.
And so that's
awesome.
it. What I focus on expands.
So funny, Eric. That's mine.
Yeah.
That's mine from last week. For real.
It really is. It's awesome.
Then thank you for sharing that aha, Eric. I know the viewers who are watching us on Zoom and on Facebook Live, that's a good one, and your input. Thank you for coming on, and we will talk to you soon. And again, Mary Beth's call at 12 is with Brad Korn, so we will see you then.
Take care, guys.
Bye, guys.